Meditation on Guru Devotion. Let's begin with a comfortable posture, with the back upright and the body relaxed. And just taking this moment to gather in or rein in the attention that has been dispersed outwardly. Use one point of focus, drawing the attention to the breath as you experience it at a point at the tips of the nostrils or at the rising and falling of the belly. And let's go through 10 cycles at first. Each cycle including both inhalation and exhalation. If you get distracted, simply come back to the point of focus. And with each passing breath, settle the mind with clarity and ease. Let's begin. And we can just expand the point of focus now as we continue to let the mind rest on a single point. We can transition into the entire breathing body. So just sense into the body and allow sensations, whether they be pleasant or unpleasant, to be the momentary placeholder for attention, just settling the mind again on sensation in the present moment for a further 10 cycles of breath. On the basis of shifting the energy and the frequency. Now we can contemplate refuge and generate good motivation based on bodhicitta. So do kindly reflect on the 3 jewels, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Or the 4th jewel if you have a personal teacher, Guru, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Healthy reliance on them is the root of the path. What does it mean to really take refuge? To have healthy reliance on one's teacher, on the Buddha as the first human being to awaken, on the teachings of awakening and of the community. And on that basis, then, if you have taken the formal refuge, you can refreshen your vows, commitments, just going through each one and affirming your resolve to keep them for the duration of the day. If one has not taken formal refuge, then join me in just contemplating how powerful mind is. It is at once a loaded weapon, capable of infinite destruction, but if brought under firm restraint and understood directly, its nature can be also liberative, not only for oneself but for others. So just try to breathe, firmly committing to this practice of awakening. Then on that basis, then we can generate a correct motivation, which is not only to awaken for oneself, but also to awaken for others. And you can start about your immediate friends and family, thinking about their existential predicament, the pains and the agonies and the despairs, and the sickness, old age, and death, but also colleagues and friends, and then all the vast, nameless, faceless ones, and then also even including the difficult ones, knowing that they're difficult simply because of the nightmare of their hallucinations and delusions. So try to think, the purpose of my life is to awaken so that I can actually be of benefit. The purpose of this practice, therefore, is to get closer to that aspiration, that the achievement of awakening for their benefit. And just try to drink that in with each breath, really clarifying that and bringing it into the guts, into the deep software of your mind. With a good motivation then created as a platform, we can begin contemplating the profundity, the necessity, and the value of mentor devotion, the guru devotion. So do kindly just reflect first and foremost on the continuity of life, the beginninglessness of consciousness, and remember that we are eternal, mind is eternal, mind has been on a long journey. We have, by the force of our karma and blindness and affliction, descended to great states of distress and ascended to great heights of privilege. But all have been bound by conditionality. and not finding any sense of permanent satisfaction in any of the 6 realms. And so we have been ensnared in samsara since beginningless time. And so just try to connect and remember the big picture. The big picture. And within that context, then, the purpose and profundity of finding a qualified guide, therefore, is the ability for the guide to lead us from bondage to liberation. Like a skilled navigator that is able to captain a ship from storm to harbor. Or a field guide who is able to navigate the Amazonian jungle to find water, to find open pasture. It is the gurus, the qualified Mahayana mentors, who are able to guide us skillfully through samsara. And so what a absolutely rare and precious thing. So rare, so precious. So much so that they say that the entire path to liberation, the entire evolution to enlightenment begins with the kind mentor. So just take a moment and really recognize why it is that the mentor is the root of the path. And as we continue to reflect on the importance of the mentor, we can appreciate how mammals and human beings learn, grow, and change and mature, and that our brains and minds are primed for imprinting and modeling and mimicry, and that this is our most expedient way to develop and grow, and that this is how we have grown in a ordinary way, samsaric way, through the neurotic tendencies encoded and bequeathed to us through parenting and through culture. But it's the same methodology, it's the same software that can update itself. And so the guru is the new proto-parent, the better parent, and the community the better family, and the dharma the better software. We'll try to breathe that in. And once we have clarified the need for a mentor and recognized the power of the mentor, then obviously many of us have been hurt through broken trust. And so we have to recognize and honor our wounds, but then also ask ourselves, what could we do better when we go looking for someone else to rely on? A broken heart isn't mended by staying defensive and not loving again. A broken heart is mended by loving smarter, loving smarter. relying more intelligently, relying on better and more qualified guides, and also being more mature and more realistic oneself, being better prepared oneself. So then let's look at the qualifications of the mentor and of the student very briefly, try to download them with each breath. There are at least 10 qualities to look for in the Mahayana Guide. And because it's a degenerate age, oftentimes very difficult to find the 10 qualities, so then maybe we just look for 5 of the qualities. But we should at least be familiar with the qualities so that we are primed when we begin our search, or if we want to continue to rely in order to create confidence, to continue to rely on a mentor, we should become familiar with the 10 qualities. The foundation is of being disciplined and morally self-controlled. So good foundation in ethics, a very, very close, if not no gap at all between what they think, how they speak, and how they act. Very, very coherent, very, very ethical, very pure, self-disciplined. The second quality is that they have quiescence of mind. They've attained a nice, balanced, buoyant mind based on their training of meditation. And the third point is that they have pacified their delusions and their prejudices and their obscurations. They are seeing things very clearly based on their training of wisdom. So the first 3 points we can say represent the 3 higher educations or 3 higher learnings of morality or ethics, meditation, and wisdom. The fourth point is that they have more knowledge than the student, and this seems obvious, but it is also a reminder that when you finally reach a level that you're knowing more than your teacher, it's time to find another teacher. Until that point, then you should have some respect for the teacher who knows more than you, and rely on their knowledge. Don't blindly follow, but also don't be so suspicious and doubting. Put into practice and see for yourself what it is that they know. The fifth quality is their enthusiasm and their energy and their joy for teaching, which is infectious and draws you in like a magnet and makes the Dharma exciting and relatable and fun, brings you in like a gravitational pull into the quest for knowledge and truth. The sixth point is that they have a good command of the scriptures and the texts and the commentaries, and often this is exhibited by drawing on just the right verse through memory to substantiate a point from the literature, or drawing on various stanzas during a lecture or teaching to make sure that there's a very good connection with the lineage sources. And of course, this is the link, the uplink directly back, mind to mind, student and teacher, all the way back to the Buddha. So this is some sort of checks and balances to ensure a teacher isn't making it up as they go along. Point 7 is a very difficult one, of course. It's the command or the insight or the gnosis of emptiness, that they have understood at the very least, emptiness at a very good, clear, conceptual level, that they can teach emptiness, the most profound medicine, from a conceptual point of view, but more beneficial is that they have direct access, a gnosis of ultimate reality. Point 8 is that they have a very skillful way of teaching the Dharma. Not just their energy is buoyant, but the mode of relating, whether it be their speech or their use of story or their way to meet each student's mind directly. It's very skillful, very relatable, it's perfect. Perfect for each student. The 9th point is that they exhibit great compassion, which isn't simply just the tenderness, but the willingness to feel the suffering of others, to empathize and be moved into action because of the suffering of others. And then finally, a teacher's 10th quality is they have no reluctance to teach. They don't hesitate. They don't grow impatient. They don't give up. They don't despair. They will teach long into the night. They will teach the same subject over again. If the student is ready and the student requests, then the teacher is willing forevermore until the goal is achieved to teach. So these are the 10 qualities: self-disciplined, mentally stable, pacified of delusions, more knowledgeable than the student, enthusiastic and inspiring, has a treasury of knowledge, has insight into emptiness, has great skill in teaching, has great compassion, and has no hesitation or reluctance to teach. Again, very difficult to find someone who has all 10. Maybe you find someone who just meets the 5 qualities. And again, if difficult to find 5 qualities, they strongly recommend at least 2 qualities. And those qualities are that the mentor thinks about others more than themselves. Very profound. And thinks about future lives more than this one. Thinks about the long arc of evolution and the continuity of consciousness more than the immediate gratification of this life. Very powerful. Think about this. Let's take a moment to think about even just meeting someone who possesses 2 qualities. And then let's recognize that it's not a one-way street, that this is a contract student to teacher between student and teacher. So then each of us as students have to be ready and qualified ourselves. So they like to use the analogy of the cup just to remind us how to prepare ourselves. The cup can't be full. And what does this mean? The cup can't be full, so we have to have an open mind. We can't be a know-it-all. We have to really listen to the mentor, really hear what they're saying. Even if they teach us the same material again and again and again, we should always be trying to find another angle, another way in, another way to deepen, and try to have beginner's mind. Secondly, that the cup shouldn't have any leaks in it. So let's not let the teachings go through one ear and out the other. As students, it's our responsibility to be eager and earnest and determined, as if learning was like putting out a fire. Stay up very late, do the extra mile, do all the homework, read every assignment, complete every task, because life does depend on it. Liberation does depend on it. Final quality of the student is that the cup isn't contaminated. And this, of course, has to do with our motivation. So we shouldn't try to learn Dharma for fame or fortune, or prestige, or influence, or power. These would be all poor motivations that would eventually ripen in unvirtuous ways. We have to be purely motivated, so renunciation and bodhicitta. These are always the most acceptable and encouraged motivations. Renunciation and bodhicitta. So now we have recognized the need for the Guru, and we have familiarized ourselves with the qualifications of both the teacher and the student. How should we rely on the teacher? Through our thoughts. And how should we rely on the teacher through our actions? Relying on the teacher through thoughts, we should see them as the Buddha. Very profound. We should see the teacher as the Buddha. That is, we should have the frame of reference or the perspective or the what's called the pure view of seeing our teacher as the living emissary, as the living Buddha, him or herself. And this is not just for them. This is for our minds, for the development and cultivation of our minds. But remember that we are relying on the mentor as the guide to lead us from samsara to liberation. And so this is amplified and enhanced by seeing them as the living Buddha. And the living Buddha. Now think about if you had met Buddha or met Christ. What would the energy exchange between the two of you be like? How receptive, how inspiring you would be. So this is how to rely on the mentor through our thought. How to rely on them through action is to follow their wishes, follow their suggestions, to follow their recommendations, and to put into practice first by testing and analyzing, and then to put into practice their recommendations and to find out for ourselves, not just to rely in belief because we have devotion, but to take the instructions into life and to put them into actions repeatedly in order for us to find out for ourselves. This is relying on the teacher through thought and relying on the teacher through action. So now let's juice press the value once again of the mentor. Try to reconnect with your sense of being lost in the vast horizons and expanse of samsara. And think about the importance of the mentor. Try to reflect on the qualities, even if just 2 of the qualities of the mentor. And then if one hasn't found yet a qualified mentor, then the final contemplation is to create the causes and conditions to meet the Mahayana Guru. Everything arises based on causes and conditions. And finding a guru is no different. Just like finding the preciousness of human life is by way of virtue, finding the qualified Mahayana guide is by way of virtue. So now let's juice press. If you have a firm, established relationship with the Mahayana Guru, then have sincere wish to remain connected with them and to embody the teachings through their aid. And if you have not found the Mahayana Guru, then commit some of your merit that you may come under their guidance at some point in the future. So here we can dedicate now whatever merits we've accrued in the course of this meditation or contemplation on the value of the Guru, then may they have long life, may they inspire and liberate many living beings, may we always remain under their guidance until liberation is achieved, and if we have not yet found the Mahayana Guru, then may we dedicate the merits that we may come one day under their guidance.